Hello world! Just months after Apple unveiled a brand new security system meant to protect iMessage from hacks, new iMessage hacks have been observed being weaponized by none other than Pegasus spyware to target people governments don't like. That's in today's episode of The Week Web, where we break down and dissect cybersecurity related tech news. New iPhone hacks, in particular iMessage vulnerabilities, have been observed being exploited by Pegasus, the infamous spyware sold by NSO Group, an Israeli company which makes incredibly advanced hacking tools. This comes merely months after Apple announced Blast Door, a brand new iOS security system that was meant to prevent the exact type of exploit used in this campaign. It's not much surprise that the victims here are political activists and human rights campaigners, hacked via a mere text message. This new hacking crusade is a super interesting story. It illustrates the apparent dismal futility of defending against exploits of this nature. These new findings come courtesy of Citizen Lab, a university-run research group. Citizen Lab is pointing the finger at Lulu, a codename they've given to a Pegasus spyware operator, which has been attributed with high confidence to be the Bahraini government, allegedly an NSO customer since 2017. NSO claims to only provide their spyware to aid in legitimate efforts, such as preventing terror attacks. However, in the case of Bahrain, it's no shock that these tools seem to have been used for other purposes. Bahrain has a vivid history of oppressing dissidents, with Citizen Lab describing long patterns of arrests, torture, and aggressive silencing of political opposition. Political parties are banned in Bahrain, and just to put into perspective how toxic the political culture is, here's a billboard from 2011 literally calling on the government to hang political activists. You know, maybe selling OP hacking tools to these guys isn't the best of ideas. The new report confirms this. In total, 9 activists had their iPhones hacked via exploits in iMessage. Pegasus spyware has a long history of using one-click exploits, in which a victim receives a text, often disguised as a parcel tracking notification, socially engineering the target into clicking a dodgy link. Once clicked, a vulnerability is exploited, installing Pegasus spyware onto the device, silently. However, in this case, the reality is more insidious. The exploit, which Citizen Lab have dubbed forced entry, is a zero-click exploit, meaning a victim needs only to receive a dodgy message to become pwned, no social engineering required. This type of vulnerability is the creme de la creme of hacks, as you're pretty much guaranteed to infect the victim as long as they're running a version of iOS which is exploitable. Forced entry takes advantage of how images are transcoded in iMessage's backend. If you're after a full technical explanation, I'll link Citizen Lab's full report in the description. Once installed, Pegasus has de facto unfettered access to a device. It can read messages, listen to your microphone, peep through the camera, and so on. The perfect spying tool. You may be wondering how hacks like this are even discovered. Citizen Lab explains how they identify people at risk from government spying and set up VPNs for key targets to monitor their internet traffic, essentially logging all traffic in and out of an activist's phone, so in the event an intrusion is suspected, Citizen Lab can later analyze the phone logs using their forensic process. Vulnerabilities in iMessage are nothing new. Apple, wanting to plug the problem, earlier this year released a brand new security mechanism called Blast Door. Blast Door acts as a sandbox for all incoming communications through iMessage. With Blast Door, messages are decompressed and passed in a sectioned off area, supposedly restricting access malicious messages would otherwise have to things like file system interactions, network access, etc. The researcher who first discovered Blast Door said, at the time, it should have a significant impact on the security of iMessage and the platform as a whole, and that it's great to see Apple putting aside the resources for these kind of large refactorings to improve end-user security. And from what I've seen, it's not so easy to garner praise from security peeps. Blast Door was released to critical acclaim as a pretty good defense system for iMessage. However, it obviously wasn't good enough, as forced entry was observed cutting through it like butter just 1 month after Blast Door went live. Let's not forget, NSO has hundreds of very smart and, I imagine, very highly paid engineers working around the clock to identify security holes in iOS and Android. If there's a vulnerability in our mobile devices, there's a good chance NSO will be the ones to find it, package it up in a fancy product, and sell it to dubious governments to aid in quote-unquote counter-terrorism. Despite the existence of such pervasive spyware, the evidence shows us that unless you piss off an authoritarian regime, you are probably safe from Pegasus. However, if you are rather partial to getting on the nerves of autocrats, heck, if I keep on making these videos, I might have to start worrying. If you are worried, there is one easy thing you can do. Citizen Lab says they believe the specific attacks they mention in this report could have been prevented by disabling iMessage and FaceTime. Each messaging app you use is a potential door into your device, so simply reducing the number of doors will reduce your risk. NSO is known to target iMessage and WhatsApp, so ditching these and switching to something more privacy and security oriented is a good bet. NSO has kind of responded to these new allegations. I can't find any update to the statement they gave a few days ago in which they said they had not yet seen the report, but added, if NSO receives reliable information related to the misuse of the system, the company will vigorously investigate the claims and act accordingly. However, NSO doesn't respond well to criticism. A month or so ago, when their previous scandal was breaking, they put out a blog post titled "Enough is Enough," in all caps, in which they basically explained that they were rage quitting from talking to the media, announcing it would no longer be responding to media inquiries on this matter. They also reiterated that their mission with Pegasus is saving lives, helping governments around the world prevent terror attacks, breaking up pedo gangs, etc., etc. And so the saga continues, the cat and mouse game of patching vulnerabilities only for new ones to appear and fall foul to exploitation will never be over. I need to tell you about today's sponsor, Linode. VPNs are useful and help to keep you private and secure, but they come with a trove of issues. Mainly, would you entrust a VPN company with your traffic over your ISP? The bottom line is that if you didn't set up a VPN server yourself, you really can't be sure these VPN companies won't keep logs, sell your data, or monitor your traffic. That's why I've teamed up with Linode to give you the opportunity to host your own private VPN for free. Linode is a totally customizable cloud hosting platform with a whole host of server apps you can install with one click. Using their WireGuard or OpenVPN app, you can spin up a private VPN controlled wholly by yourself in a matter of minutes. Linode launched way back in 2003, that's 3 years before AWS was even a thing. Linode doesn't spend a second on side hustles like grocery chains or reading you bedtime stories. Cloud computing is what they do best and is their only focus. Linode is offering all of you guys $100 in free credit just for signing up. Use your $100 to instantiate your private VPN or literally anything else cloud computing related. They have 24/7 phone support, which is a godsend in the world of servers, so you'll never be left out in the cold. Go to linode.com/satonic or click the link in the description to claim your free $100. If you enjoy this kind of video, make sure to help me out by tickling the like button for the YouTube AI, as well as turning on those sub notifications. If you're looking for something to watch next, go check out my previous video on the FBI's terrorist watch list, colloquially known as the no-fly list, being leaked on publicly visible servers for the world to see. As always, sources will be linked in the video description. Make sure to follow me on the Instagrams for behind the scenes footage. Stay tuned for more hacking videos and have a good one.